my heart will cry, but from a business perspective, I think it's a banger, because that means we're doing something right deep down. So, and I'd be happy for them, because they're good human and they deserve the win. I still believe we're going to beat their ass, but different story.
Of course. No, I think everyone, anyone that is rational would also like agree with the sentiment that, just because a player is moved on from doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be able to perform better or might become. It's just the dynamic has run its course. I think a good example is also Jojo Pune going to, of course, Mad Lions. Like, everyone's excited about this change, even though there was, of course, the drama surrounding Jojo Pune. But I think everyone is expecting that he's going to be different, and he has
What
a
was the
chance
drama?
to. Just in regards to, of course, how he worked in C9, and there was rumors about him being late often, and being the most paid player, and so forth. But what I wanted to follow up with, because obviously on my end, I think Mickey is one of the best performing European players of all time. I think for you guys, in the biggest matches of the year, which is where I put a lot of importance, especially considering what G2 is, whether it's the World Championship, MSI, even the regional finals, of course, Mickey performed really, really well. And I think that when it comes to those big games, he is truly, truly fantastic. And we all agree that he's going to do well on Fnatic, but how much can you share in regards to why G2 decided to move on from Mickey? Because the other change, I think I can rationalize a little bit more in my mind.
I think Mickey was getting tired of some of our processes, and if we had to restart a year with him, we would have had to sit down and talk a lot. Maybe it was costing him too much energy. Maybe, not sure. I'm not sure our bot lane was the most functional as well by the end of the year. Not like there's no grudge or anything between them. It's just, so tiny little stuff you're not really fighting against anymore. I think he needed a new start. Now with us, and I hope he has some anger against us, and that he's willing to fight. And I'm really happy we got Labrov. He's playing so far even better than what we anticipated. So I'm really positively, and I knew it was insane. It's just okay. Looking forward to see how it can translate on stage, But for Mickey, and it was not an easy let go, because Mickey as a human is just so kind. He's just so generous, and it makes my job really, really shitty when I have to sit down and tell him, you're not with us anymore next year. So good luck, So I definitely wish him the best. I think it's good for him as well to have a new start.
Okay, fair. I saw a little hint there. I don't know how open your policy is in terms of how you work, because obviously, you don't want to reveal too much, to not put your players in a position of, let's say, them misinterpreting something for less of a conviction. But you mentioned like the Hansama Mickey relationship. Was there any other consideration in other changes? Because I'm just tying it into the rumor of you trading Trif, Kalis, and so forth. If there was any other alteration we could have seen after this off-season, because you did also mention that things moved very fast when you guys
my life would be so much easier if I could trade players like that without their approval. Looking forward for that to happen one day, but no, I think we just needed some change in the bot lane. It has nothing to do with Hans and Mickey. Like, Mickey was there because Hans wanted it from the beginning. When we hired Hans, I still had Targamas under contract, and I thought, well, they're both French, it's going to work together, to have them together. But
Ramos would be upset. He's from Belgium. He would be.
True. I'm not saying he's French. He's a French
I'm
speaker.
just messing with you.
No. It was a daily fight with him, and of course we love to make fun of our dear Belgian people. At least a French-speaking one. And so, but when we got Hans, and I told him, look, you can have Tagamas as your support. I think it would be a good fit. And Hans was saying, yeah, I don't really know him, but I know Mickey really well. I just grinded a lot of solo queue together, so I want him together. And yeah, we had I think we had a great beginning of the year. I think how much can I share? I think one of our strengths was how much Hans can puppet his support a bit in game, which worked really well at the beginning, and I think by the end, I'm not sure they were 100% on the same page, and I think it was a bit frustrating for them. So yeah, and we just needed some fresh blood there. So we had to change one of them, and one contract was longer than the other, and we had more people on the market, so there's a lot coming into consideration when you start an off season. So yeah, I really believe it was the right choice, for both and for us.
Right. Okay. I'm excited. I'm a Mickey fan, so I do think that he's going to come after you in a way of with great conviction. But I'm also a G2 fan, so either way,
Yeah, and
either
if
way,
that
I'm good.
happened, I'm not going to have any regret, because that means he's going to be able to pull a level of gameplay he would not have been able to pull with us, I think. So yeah, I'm down. I'm really down to lose to Mickey. I'd be extremely salty when that happened, but I'd be happy for him. And it's not just going to be Mickey. It's going to be all the processes behind what he's doing, and all the Fnatic boys, and his relationship with Upset and the rest of the guys. And that would also mean a failure on our side, because we're not able to craft a new big relationship between the five boys and go to war. That's why our job is so fun.
I want to transition the discussion a little bit, because LEC has been in a weird state recently, I would say, where you have big content creators coming in. You have Ebai, you have Kometo, namely. You mentioned them earlier. You said these are great people to have, and like you need these teams to be good for the ecosystem. But then you also have like a lot of the other teams that you suggested might have even like 20% of your budget, where it feels like they're kind of riding the coattails of everyone else. They're not generating their own stuff. Like, how do you view franchising in general in the LEC? Because it seems like LEC is in a weird state where a lot of times we've heard, former CEO of Carlos would call them like leeches and stuff, and be like, oh, these little fucking leeches that are just like along for the ride. What is your perception of the health of the league and the teams within the league? Because you guys are the big dog. You guys are the team that has the most viewership. We've seen this today, actually released.
I saw that.
Yeah, that you guys are the most viewed team in Europe. So where do you stand on other teams? Do you think teams are not pulling their weight? Do you think that it's just circumstance? Like, how do you view the health of the league and everything within the LEC?
Back in 2017, when I was at Unicorns of Love, the whole budget to operate players, staff, gaming house, travel expenses, food and stuff, I think was 700K. And I think nowadays that's a yearly salary of some LEC players, just to give you some scale. Back then you could run a full team, not the best team. We were not the best team, but we were always third, fourth.
Second place you got as well.
Middle of the pack war.
You got second place as well. I remember against Fnatic.
Oh, a couple times, right?
That did happen. Not when it mattered, meaning you could qualify to Worlds if you finished second, sadly, which was always a bit of a sadness. I would have really loved to go to Worlds with Unicorns of Love, but never happened. But yeah, so just to give a scale, like everything increased by so much. And back then, when I was Unicorns of Love, one of my big internal questioning was, why are people putting money on us? Like, that makes no sense. Back then, we had a lot of money given by Riot, which helped a lot our economics, but I was always questioning myself, why are the sponsors making money? How is the reach working and stuff like that? And I started to lose hope in Europe, because I couldn't see how the economic would make sense. Not from a competitive perspective, but from a pure money perspective, the money was not there. And the salary kept increasing and stuff. So when I got the offer from Optic in the US, I was like, okay, I don't know how much money a League of Legends team can get, but those people are giving me a lot of cash, so let's play the game with like unlimited cash. At least I thought that would be the case. It ended up not being the case at all. Of course, it was a really limited amount of cash, and 1 year later, I lost my job for the same reason, because they were paying me too much money, and they fired like 60 people in one shot, which was really American from them, but really surprising for a European like me. What you can't do that without
you can just say
lawsuit?
fuck you, like in the middle of the season, whenever, you got no rights.
I understand that you can hire fast, you can fire fast. That makes sense. But then I worked at Riot for 3 years in the business side of thing with Alban de Slot, and I learned a lot about how things work, who is willing to put money into our ecosystem, how our team's spending it, and stuff like that, which gave me more faith in the whole stuff, because I could understand a bit better how the economics was working. And now that I'm on the team side in a really big team meaning we're big enough to have a lot of sponsors, we're professional enough to keep those sponsors and to build the best ecosystem possible around our players. I see other teams able to do that in the ecosystem, which are going to be good because we can fight versus someone. So I'm happy to see those people coming, those new teams led by influencers. I think co-streaming is a really interesting stuff, because you're losing control on your product when you are Riot. You cannot control the whole feed. You cannot control every single part of your product until it reaches the viewer, which was the case before. The moment you give it as a product to someone else, like to you, for example, you cannot really control Dom. You can put a little contract, ask him kindly to put the right sponsors in the right place and to not insult anyone. But if for whatever reason in the middle of the show, you won't, because you, but because you're a clever guy, you're not randomly gonna say "fuck you, faker, son of a bitch." Like no one would do that. That'd be so bad from a business perspective.
Yep.
But you never fully know, and you have some risk connected to it. What's gonna happen tomorrow if Casual stops League of Legends? Just like that. You don't know why. Maybe some of his family member gets really sick. He has to stop everything and he has to go back home and he's going to fully stop streaming. We just lost 40% of our viewership. Just like that. Which is a bit scary. It's incredible to have guys like Casual. I think he's doing such a fantastic job for the whole ecosystem. From a pure business perspective, if you're Riot, I believe it's also a bit scary. It pushes a lot your viewership numbers and you can get really high. It's also putting a lot of eggs in someone else's basket, which is not the way they've been doing for ages. Is it good? Is it bad? I think it's just natural. Once you open this door, you cannot close it. It's impossible to say,
I mean,
we
you
stop.
can.
How?
You can ban people. You could stop them from consuming up to a point, I think.
Can't wait to see your Twitter reaction the day you receive an email saying you're fully banned, Dom. Oh, by the way, Casual as well. Yamato, you're all banned, actually. Now it goes back to us only. And then, bam, 60% viewership less, which is going to have a direct impact in all the sponsorship deals you're selling because they are connected to the ROI you have on those products. So once you open this door, you cannot close it. So it's going to be really interesting because it's going to develop different narratives. It's going to challenge the job of a talent. By talent, we mean every single person in front of a camera hired by Riot, like casters, like people on the desk, like interview and stuff. Because Shox and Lore used to speak to 80% of the viewership, maybe 70% in Europe, at least. I'm not talking worlds. Now that it's fragmented through a lot of different co-streamers, maybe they're talking to 40% only, 30%. How do they feel about it? How does that change the amount of cash Riot is going to put in their product? How does it change the way you structure the show? How does it change the timing between each game? How does it change the way you sell that to sponsors and stuff? So it's a lot of really interesting questions, which we're going to see unfold and develop through the years. So yeah, I'm looking forward. And is this specific ecosystem where you have to look at League of Legends not just through Riot glasses, but also through the other people glasses, influencers are key. Like the Ibai is a key, the Kameto is a key, the OTP in France with a guy like Treton, for example, or the people in Germany, in Spain and stuff. So many different lenses and narratives, which I believe is the strength of Europe. all those different languages, all those small bubble, which we call countries with different languages, can also be so powerful. Look what's happening in France right now with Sculpting being front page of L'Equipe magazine. My dad reads L'Equipe. I mean, he knows about esport, but his friends read L'Equipe. One of them is going to tell him, "Oh, Stefan, is this the shit your son is doing?" Like I saw one of the guys. Oh yeah, that's esport. This is good. That's harder to achieve in the American scale. It's much easier when you have smaller countries and stuff. So being fragmented has historically been our weaknesses. Maybe with co-streaming, more power to the different countries and stuff, it will turn into a strength. It will reignite the love for League of Legends, and people will start playing the game more and attend the local league and stuff. And then we have the new caps. I need the new caps. The motherfucker is getting older, so.
Oh shit!
That guy is gonna keep on going forever, man. He is.
Yes. That's
never
why I can feel comfortable saying that because no worries. Caps is saying.
He'll play till his last era, that's for sure, man.
He's gonna stay longer than you, man. Like you're gonna.
And he's gonna have fun, and that's the beautiful part of it. He's gonna have fun every single minute of it. That's why it's so good.
Yeah. So to kind of ask you in a different way, what about like the team side of things? Because if franchising, it's weird, right? Because like how you described, there's a lot of power in the co-streamers, and a lot of the viewership is now co-streamers, right? Like almost all the viewership is co-streamers. Like casual is more than the main broadcast, sometimes 2-3 times the main broadcast has in English. If the Spanish team is playing, if Mad Koi is playing, if Koi's playing, you know that's going to be all eBay, and then if K Corp is playing, Kometo is going to be streaming and having all of it. So when it comes to like the other teams that are not involved in that, like you guys are lucky that you're one of the best teams. I think Fnatic is also like one of the most competitive teams. So you guys are gonna have viewership because of where Legacy. You stand in just the standings of the league. But what about like the other teams? Like, do you feel like there's missed opportunities there, or do you think that it's just very hard for them to do anything with the position that they're in?
We needed franchising from a business perspective. It was impossible if you were not one of the big dog to get money if you don't know your future more than 6 months. Hey, give me money to be a sponsor. Oh, I may be eliminated in May, and the negotiation for the deal is going to last 6 months. So there's a world where you're going to sign the deal after we are out of the EU LCS. It was not possible. We needed franchising just for that. Is it the best competitive?
The question would be then, do you think some teams have abused franchising in a way? Because it feels like there was, like you were there for relegations. Like you remember how everyone had to be so competitive every split, because if you're bad for one split, you're fucking done, right? And now it's like you have teams where it's like they're kind of like bottom feeders for a while. They're comfortable being 7, 8, 9. Like, do you think that
are they? I don't know. I don't think. I hope any of those guys hates losing so much that they're gonna do everything to win. But maybe I'm being naive and optimistic there. But I think 99% of the players I've worked with over the last 10 years just want to win. Some of them are not willing to pay the price. That's true, but still, they want to win at the end. And franchising, maybe some teams should be gone. From a competitive perspective, that would be so much more fun to see new people coming. You also have to make sure the business can survive, and I think the best would be to have the same 10 teams and like guest slot.
Or maybe you remove two. Doing it now.
Yeah, like I think this is a banger. I think
that would
good.
Be so amazing.
And it will allow the reconnection of the ERL with the LEC, which is missing. I think that's the hype. Which you cannot have. Actually, I think there was a Gilius idea. It was like, oh man, you know what I could do back then. I'm talking 2017, 16.
Oh,
like,
I remember this.
I should get four friends. They're all really bad with the best. So I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit ULCS. I'm gonna go back through whatever was the name, like the qualifiers, challengers. We're gonna win, and we're gonna sell the slot. Why? Because back then Dignitas, I think, just got a slot for $1 million or something. So all the pros had those millions in their head, and I think the average salary back then for a pro was like 70K, 100K. That's more than the normal human salary.
Less. It was like 50, like 40.
I think the minimum was 60. So you were bouncing in this between 60 and 100. Maybe the biggest were like 200 something. So this million was like a dream for everyone. I remember him trying to say, we just win. We go there. We win. And you have some good success story. You also have a lot of failures. Do you remember Paris Saint-Germain? They tried. They smash everyone, and then they lose.
In pajamas.
They lose the fucking best of 5 qualifying there again and again, to a point where they say, all right, we're done with Europe. We're traveling to the other side of the world, and now you have PSG Talon, and they make world consistently to them. But yeah, I think we needed franchising. We lost a lot of the competitive fun you can have with the up and down relegation games at the end of the year. You know, sometimes those games had more viewership than the semi-final or final, because people like drama. They like to see people cry, and they like the underdog story. And I miss the fucking gauntlet. We had to play it so often with Unicorns of Love.
Actually, I don't miss the gauntlet now that you speak about it. You know, that low key ruined my life, but you know, it is.
Oh, really? Fuck.
I love the gauntlet. I love the gauntlet.
You qualified through it. You beat us, you motherfucker.
Because we beat you.
Yeah, I remember that. But the feeling when you come Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're God. You're God. By the end, you have your tickets for Worlds. You get an extra 2 months of work. The rest are on holidays. Bam, as early as Monday. So incredible. Yeah, shit for the team losing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I agree with you. So good for viewership. But no, it's not really possible anymore. I guess. But yeah, you really want me to say some teams are leash?
No, I'm fine with you saying whatever. I just wanted to ask the question of how you felt about other teams, because it's just like, I mean, you guys are one of the teams that other people are benefiting from, whether you like it or not. You know, like other people are riding your coattails and hoping that the valuation of their organization and their slot goes up through like the work that you're doing and K Corp is doing and Mad Lions is doing.
Yeah, but then you're talking about the big guys. I know for a fact the people bit below, the one with the hands in the engine, you know, they just want to win, and they make the decisions they believe are the best. They might be limited with budget. Yeah. Some people are stealing a bit of reach and stuff, just trying to make money. Probably that's a really bad plan. By the way, like if you're a business guy and your business plan is to make billions with esport, yeah, maybe you should start with $1 trillion and turn it into $1 billion. You know, it's probably gonna be the fastest, because it is a competitive game. Any kind of competitive entertainment is a bad idea if you want to make money. It's a huge gamble. If you go to Formula One, if you go in football, if you go, yeah, of course, if you're PSG, Real Madrid, or like K-Corp in France, you can make some money. And even those people, it's a lot of passion, it's a lot of motivation, it's insane feeling and sensations when you're there. Money-wise, not sure. At the high level, of course. Like if you're a top pro player, you're making bank and good, and you deserve it, you enjoy it. But if you're an investor, yeah, probably better than CEO, for sure.
Yeah, I think the idea is that, like, I mean, people saw what Misfits ended up selling for, right? Like they saw that number, and I think it was like 36 million or something like this, and people saw that and they thought, you know what, if we can survive and operate at a small loss every year, then maybe we can get some big payoff in the future.
It's a good business idea. It's not a good competitive idea, but for sure. I mean, the people who went with us at Optic, who arrived, bought the LoL slot, Dota slot, Overwatch slot, and ended up firing everyone, selling some of those slots, and then selling the brand again. Yeah, they made money, for sure. By the end of the 3 years they operated in esports, they actually made millions. They burned maybe 100 people on the way. So I don't think it's good, you know. It's probably good business. It's not good human business, and it's definitely shitty for the ecosystem. So
yes, NRG is the most recent example, right? It's like they recouped their costs and made money, and they just bolted, right?
Well, it was almost like they had no cost, right? That was the whole idea, that they bought in, and they bought in with selling like percentages of their own company to CLG, as opposed to actually having to like front a huge cost. So, you know, I mean, I guess they ended up just operating for a couple years. Yeah, the Gilius story that you're talking about, he told this to us, and his version was, this was like in 2014, and this is one of the reasons he said he was kicked from Unicorns of Love in 2014, was that as soon as you guys qualified, at least from his telling of it, one of his first things to say was like, okay, we qualified, what are we gonna, like, we should sell the slot, like, what are we gonna do with the slot? And everyone else was like, what the fuck, like, we made it like into LCS.
That was before me. Yeah. It may have been due to performances, if I may, more than bad business acumen. But I can speak freely because I was not part of Unicorns of Love when that happened. That was the first time he was at Unicorns of Love. And from what I remember back then, Shippy just wanted to play the game and win. He was not there to make money. That was never. I mean, you need to make money to operate the team, right? But money was never the main driver for Unicorns of Love, which is probably the reason why they're not an LCS team, an LEC team right now. It was just pure raw passion from Shippy and his dad and his sister and stuff, which is why they just wanted to make worlds. That's why they ended up going to Russia, because they didn't have the fundings. They refused to sell most of the org, like a lot of people did. And I can tell you, a lot of people were ready to buy Unicorns of Love. I knew some of them. They always said no. Went to Russia, operated the team for a really small cost, made worlds a bunch of time, had good success. So yeah, no, little Gilius. But yeah, he was already looking for that. Yeah, but then yeah, he had the same thought process later when we hired him again for a full split. Yeah, I think that was around the Dignitas stuff. This million by OD was crazy. It drove some people really crazy.
People loved the idea of a million. You know, that was the huge thing at the time. Is everyone would say the same thing in North America, and we had a lot of teams doing it. You know, we had the booster teams, and they worked. Like those teams worked. Like, I mean, Hyde did it once, and that team became FlyQuest. Like, yeah, they were the booster teams. Like, that's what they did. They went into Academy and they just boosted a team into LCS.
Mercenaries. Yeah,
mercenaries.
Really smart. You know, it's like before we were with the Splice Boys, when we qualified, we went to the World Championship, and then in the off season, all our contracts were running out, and we actually wanted to push PSG to sign all of us, because we got very excited by the prospect of joining PSG. We saw like the Lucas Moura ad, and we're like, dang, imagine us joining PSG and then getting them to the LEC, but they weren't interested. I think at the time they were talking. Like I remember, speaking to, I believe, Yellow Star, and I remember their manager. There was some like rumblings about signing like Piglet, and then it turned into Pilot, and it was just like all over the place. It's like funny how all
I thought they were trying to win. Why were they talking to Piglet? Oh, was was that to sabotage the team and keep them in challengers, or what was the?
No, they were just like looking to acquire big names. You know, that was part of the strategy. But it's funny how small the world is, you know, in a way, like how all the stories collide. Because even the story, like back then, it's like esports was so raw in League of Legends that the ownership of the spot would fall in your hands if you owned the rank team that you qualified to the LEC with. Because I remember this story, because that's how the ownership of Unicorns of Love fell into Shippy's hands, but it seemed like he did the virtuous thing. But it's such a powerful position to be in of such a simple thing. It's like, guys, I created a team, join, and then, you know, you just fly away with it in a sense.
I mean, a lot of people, you know, Steve had that vision early. Steve from Team Liquid, he was somebody who was originally a pro player. A lot of people don't know this. He was a pro player early season 2, and he was legit just like, I mean, he wasn't like, maybe he was like platinum or diamond at the time, but at the time, platinum was actually not as bad as it is now. Like, it was like, maybe he was a top 5% player, but when you're dealing with being on a pro team, like, you want people that are top 0.01, like, you know, etc. So he was one of the people that was like, hey, you know what? I'll just be the team manager. I'll like sign deals for it. And he snowballed that into, you know, ownership of Curse. And then when he, when they sold it to Team Liquid, becoming a part owner of Team Liquid. So that whole thing, like he had the ranked 5s team. He was the person that started the team. He developed the manager role, and then he just understood the business better than everyone. And now he's one of the owners of, you know, one of the premier esports team around the world. So it's crazy how much people were able to do back then with that.
Having the business acumen is also really important there. And in the case of Shippy in Unicorns of Love, his dad, for example, was really good, because you need, the moment you get the ticket, you need to turn everything into a real company. You need to find a house, buy place to register like rights and stuff, like put the brand somewhere and things like that. So it's a entrepreneur. It's not just being good, you know. I think,
of course, and he's somebody who worked in the business world. He had a degree. He worked in the business world, and I think at the time he was like 29, so he was much older than like the rest of us. At this time, I was 21, so he was he understood everything. He understood everything about the organization, like how everything was going to work. And he was one of the people that actually was able to run a profitable esports team in terms of like signing sponsors. And he just had us, like, we had pretty good salaries at the time. We were some of the highest paid players at that time, which wasn't much. It's like 45 50k instead of 25 was what made you in that like level back then. But he just had us working all the time, man. Like every day off was not a day off. We were going to Quest, we were going to HyperX, we were going everywhere, doing everything. Like we had on the fucking grind.
I've seen those dumb ads.
Have you seen the ads? There's a lot of them, bro.
He had the first Alienware compound in LA, which blew my mind. Back in 2018, I was trying to set up my own shit with Optic. We were renting stuff, like it was chaos. And I go to a meeting at the Alienware stuff and blew my mind. They had meeting rooms. They had so much space. They had brands everywhere, engraved, specific merch and stuff, and they were so cool. Yeah, props to Steve.
Oh, that was really cool.
Romain, sorry, Dom, I'm cutting you off because there's two things I wanted to cover. Because Roma, we've taken up a lot of your time, and we know that you had a busy scrim day and so forth. There were two things I wanted to bring up before we let you go. I hope that's okay with you too, Dom.
Of course.
The one thing that we mentioned was the scrims coming out. You mentioned it's cool data, also to pressure a little bit the teams. I wanted to hear your feedback in terms of how the work ethic in Europe has changed. Has things gotten better? I've heard rumblings about how, of course, the schedule is also very different. I've heard 252, but maybe you can add more to it. How does the LEC work ethic look right now, post the last couple of years, you guys being, of course, at the forefront of it all?
Getting better. It's getting better. I really believe the players operating now are more try hard. The staff member are more try hard. We have more processes, more knowledge, everything. I think it's getting better. It's still not fast enough to beat Asia, but it's definitely getting better. And this year feels good, So for the scrim stuff, was funny because I was on holiday and I started to receive a bunch of texts saying, hey, what do you think about playing in the morning and things like that? And I was like, okay, what's happening? why are we suddenly discussing screaming in the morning? And it was a vendetta started by some of the new Spanish coach, and they're coming with a lot of motivation, a lot of hype, a lot of love for the game, and they just wanted to change thing. So we heard there was a lot of talks, but I don't speak a single word of Spanish, and by experience, having the talk just between coach doesn't lead anywhere. You need to put managers on top. So we had a bid meeting, called a bunch of my peers, the other manager, saying, yeah, let's have a call on Monday. Let's put everyone in the call, and let's talk schedule. Every team is going to talk one by one, and then we're going to put everything on the table. And by the end, we're going to take 48 hours. We're all going to vote for the best system, but at least we need this. And it was a really cool call. Just to have everyone there, to have all the coach and all the manager and everyone giving their opinion and stuff. And so they're
added into the video.
Yeah, so those were the 7 different propositions we discussed. I added proposition 8 and 9. Just that's not how every Korean team is doing, not how every Chinese team is doing. I can already see the comment. Yeah, but I saw this interview of DK in 2016 and they start at 11:30. Fair, you're right. That is your overall idea. And the main question was, when do you start the day? How do you operate the different blocks? And I added a last column, which is the usual LEC schedule. So I'm more on the side of we should play the afternoon till the end of the day, eventually during the night, because I believe that's when you're going to have to be at your top. So you should practice to get your brain at the max speed at a specific time of the day, every single day. So when you have to play on stage, it makes sense. The challenge brought by some of the new coaches or even older coaches was when people have to play solo queue in the morning, those solo queue are pretty bad quality. Main reason being, not a lot of high-elo players play in the morning because pro players are more of a night animal, right? So they said rather than having those disgusting games with high queue times and not great quality, let's put some scrims there, which I think is a good idea. To be fair, I think it's a good idea. We do other stuff in the morning. We do a bit of sports and we do some meetings and stuff. So I don't think that would work for us the way we operate, but I can see it working for several teams. And the most important part of this exercise was just to have everyone sharing what they believe and I think they believe in and what they think. And I think that was really cool. And also to understand we are 10 teams, we have 10 different approaches. And that means when you're a coach and when you're doing the booking, don't just say I book the 5 of January with you. Say I book the 5 under this stuff. We also align to pick on one of the proposition for winter and to reevaluate by the end of winter. So our approach for this one, I think we elected proposition 1, which is the 3-block stuff.
Oh wow, that's a lot of games.
That's pretty nuts.
So there's a bunch of there's a few caveats there. So for example, at G2 we're doing it, but we're not doing the morning block. But we're doing the 5+2, so that's 7. So from our perspective, and every single team could sell their fish a bit differently, you know. So the way I'm selling our fish is it's one more game than last year, which I really like, because last year was 3+3. I like the 3+3 because it gave us a break in the middle.
Proposition 2 pretty much last year, right?
It is literally, that's why I called it Classic 2024.
Okay, sorry, I didn't even see the top.
Otherwise, then we had the early game with a bit more time, like you finish the game the day at 5, but then it gives more time for solo queue, meeting, VOD and stuff. Then you had the Heretic really big blocks, lot of games. You had the 8K starting a bit later, but they put their break in the middle, BDS the other way around and stuff like that. So every team is putting the puzzle pieces across the day. We voted for proposition 1, 40%. I mean, then we had a grading system. You had to give 3 votes, and your vote won at 3 point, 2 point, 1 point. We did everyone argumented a bit one side or the other. So we're doing proposition 1. G2 is not doing the first block. I don't think we will. We are not always going to do the late block. We're doing a lot of it, to be fair. For now, almost every day we've been doing the late block. 2 different teams. At least it's 2 different booking. You can play a full day of Fnatic if you want, but it's going to be 2 separated bookings. So what we would usually do is, I don't know, Heretics for the first block and then Giants for the second block or stuff like that, which gives you a bit of freshness. One of the things which I dislike a bit with the 5 games straight, and it was one of the big challenge from 2023, is if you stomp the enemy team, the last game is shit quality because they don't want to be here. You're 4-0, they're tilted to the moon, they just want to go do something else. And usually you're losing value. Those are the games which people used to cancel a lot, for example, which was one of the challenge from 2023. That's why we also moved to the 3+3 setup. Also because that's how the Asian teams are operating. They come, they play 3 games, they stop, they play another 3 games, they stop, they play another 3 games, they stop, which allows them to spam a lot of solo queue. I believe more in scrims than solo queue, even if solo queue is a tool, but it's the best tool we have. And it's really important to grind your solo queue. Kids, grind your solo queue at home. But yeah, so we're going proposition 1, 5 games. It usually does not finish at 7:30. I counted 1 hour per game, but depending if there's a remake, depending on the review, depending how long a coach takes for review, some of them have a tendency to speak a lot. Some of them are pretty short and efficient. So yeah, usually we would finish at 5:30, and then we do the meetings we used to do between the 3 games at this moment. So you would finish, and then we have a couple of 101, couple of meeting, food. Then we do last block, we finish 2 games and done. It's more games. It's 1 more games, you know. We used to play 6, now it's 7. The more games we play, the more clever game we play, the better it is. The more conscious game we play, I would say. By conscious, I mean you have a full staff behind you, analyzing what you're doing, providing you feedback on and stuff. So so far I like it. Let's see what the other coach and managers will have to say by the end of the split. But yeah, I'm not a fan of playing in the morning usually because I would rather have players sleep a bit more and have them play at night. Mostly because we have to play LEC at night, and when you come to international event, which are the event you want to perform at the end of the day, the best team in the world sleep in the morning. Like, let's face it, you're not gonna scrim T1 at 10. Like, it's impossible. But if you're doing good, they might be down to sneak a little cheeky
night
game
block.
at like but their night block are not our night blocks. Their night block can start at like 11 for 3 games. Be like, yeah, we had those talks, as a team. Do we want to do an 11 p.m. block and be exhausted for the next day? You see one asking? Yeah, maybe. I don't know actually, because you might just get smashed and not learn anything from it. If you get smashed and you learn, yeah, let's go for it. But are you players still operating good enough in their head to learn from it? I don't know. We did some with different level of learnings from it. Looking forward to attend the next international event and have to face this challenge.
I would add that I completely agree with the notion that you should tune your like sleep schedule and sleep rhythm to when you should peak and play. So I'm with you completely in like the morning games. It's like there's a reason why people are not playing solo queue as well, is because solo queue at night and everyone is in tune with this. Because I've had issues where players are tired because you play a very late game and then sometimes there's delays and then suddenly you play at 11. Like last time I was in Fnatic, we always had the game 4 or 5. Same thing for G2. You go most of the time you have late games, I believe. Maybe it's different now with Koi and Casey in the picture. I can add a little bit of context in terms of how, because when I was working in Korea, it was three games into 3-hour break into 3 games, and the beauty of that break was that the focus was always on quality. So you kind of use those 3 hours to just prepare for the next block.
You reset.
And it was, and that could be strategically too. It's like you hammer down the points, and you can actually prepare for your practice. You can do it to some degree, of course, at the beginning of the day, leading into the first block. But things can be very dynamic and change very fast depending on your opponent. And usually coming into the second block, you prepared level ones for the enemy because you see their patterns and you kind of engage these abilities that get tested real time always. And the beauty of it all as well is the fact that it is in tune with what is being played. Best of threes. We were playing best of threes in the regular season. And then always at the end of the night, it was like 3 into 3 and into 2. And then usually the 2, we just did it with our academy team. And then we could just cater it depending on our dependency, which allowed for a very, very full day. And then some players spammed solo queue in those 3 hours in between. Some players rested, and it was just always kind of catered to the individual, which I think was very, very powerful. And at the same time, it was indeed in tune with the schedule that happened, of course, with the official matches, which was super, super big. I mentioned that I have 2. Go ahead.
That was something that we did in NA as well. We always made sure that if we did a night block, it was either academy team or it was a lower tier LCS team, because the whole idea was that you operate in these bubbles a lot of the time, right? And as TL at that point, it was like there was 4 really good teams, or it was Team Impulse, CLG, TSM, and us. And then it was Cloud9 was one split, and then CLG was the other split. Then Cloud9 fell off, and they were no longer in that top tier. But you had these scrim bowls, and it was just so depressing if you play against TSM and then CLG, and you just get fucking booty blasted 6 games in a row. So when we did our night block, we always made sure that it was versus enemy or one of these lower tier LCS teams. So at least you could have something to feed you. At least you feel motivated coming into the next day. It's okay, we're not that bad, So I like the night block versus the academy team, because that's simply something that we did back in even 2015.
It's mindset as well.
It's cool because in the shit, I lost my chain of thought. I'll just move on to my final question. I think it's the easy way. I'm not gonna mumble here and stumble over it. My final question was
before you get there. That's this whole meeting was the first time that was happening, and you can like morning block, you can not like morning block. I really respected the people who arrive and say, I want to change things, have enough motivation to propose something different, acknowledging we've been failing for the last year. Let's try to push something new. I would challenge the efficiency of those morning block, but I'm also happy maybe it's the solution. I'm happy someone else is taking the bullet for us and is going to practice them. And if it works, hell yeah. If I'm losing to one of the morning blocks in winter and they win everything, yeah, let's talk about spring. I will gladly copy past whatever they're doing because it's obviously working better. But I was really happily surprised and excited about the year to see this level of motivation. To go back to your initial questions, how do you feel about the LEC and stuff? Yeah, we have a lot of really motivated people in the other teams as well this year, so it's going to be a banger. Let's see what system works better.
It's super cool. I like the idea that there is cooperation. Right? I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
Because there's been years where some teams got blacklisted, some teams.
Yeah, but they were doing stuff. There's some stories we can't share, but yeah, something we're operating a bit like pirates. I believe more in sharing stuff because at the end of the day, we may be a bit better at the moment. We're still worse than them, we're still losing to them. So we definitely have stuff to change and learn.
Yeah. Do you feel more positive about LEC this year than last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like it's going to be a comeback year for LEC.
Because of this kind of new stuff coming from the other teams and new players coming and the whole co-streaming stuff, it have some reserve business-wise, but this is new. At least things are changing. It's keeping things fresh and exciting, so it's nice. I like it.
Final question from my side. It's the exact same question I asked Caps. I'm curious to hear how you would elaborate on it. But if you could see, like, speak to your future self post 2025 with all the experience that you gathered with these players in the previous years, what are the changes that you're hoping to see coming into this next year? Well, what is going to be different in terms of you guys leveraging, of course, your experience and now having, of course, new members as well?
So I'm talking to Romain at the end of 2025. Yeah, I wish I'm going to tell him we did a good job. We were consistent. We found new way to crack the game, and we pushed the limit of theory crafting, and it gave us a clear competitive edge over the other Asian teams. We found way to stay consistent at home and beat every single one of our opponents and learn from them, and apply this European source at the international level. And yeah, you can be proud of the 5 guys and the rest of the staff, because we did that. I want us to be remembered because we're so try hard, and we're gonna fight until the end. That's the feeling I had when we used to play back in the day, Fnatic. I think it was 2017 or 16 or whatever, the 18-0 split. And I remember coming.
2015.
Okay, wow, that's 10 years ago. That happened. Whatever.
It is 10 years ago. Oh damn!
Oh my God, we're old.
I remember those scream days, and we were like, okay, we're gonna give everything because we have to make them bleed, and everyone stepping on the rift at the EU LCS were like so inspired by that. I want to be this kind of team. I want and for example, the never surrender policy we had last year, I think was great because you knew even if you're getting a bit ahead in a scrim or on stage, we're gonna fight till the end. If you break both our legs, we're gonna fight with our fist. If you break the fist, we're gonna fight with our teeth. I don't know. We're gonna find a way, and I want that kind of fear for our opponents, so they can give it back. Okay, we're gonna have to give our best today in scrim and today on stage, and maybe it's gonna cost us a bunch of games. But if by the end of next year I'm like, yeah, we fought until the last single teeth in the middle, then I don't even care about the result.
This brings me back to a story that Yamato has told like maybe 20 times on the SAC streams, where Hilly
Make it 21.
Yeah, exactly. And where Hilly was describing how it felt to play against G2, and it was like, oh, they're fighting with their left hand, their right hand, their left foot, their right foot, and their cock. That's what it felt like playing against G2.
It was Gambit back in the day, Moscow 5, Like, I remember watching them, and I know they're going to win. You're 35 minutes in, they are 10K behind, and you're like, I don't know how that's going to happen, but I've seen the movie before, and they're going to win. And they did it so consistently. I want to be this kind of team. I want the team in front of us to say, I don't know what crazy shit they're going to do, but do we have all the TP? Do we have all the summoners? And because that's how we feel when we play them. Before playing BLG, these Worlds, we've lost, I shared the results, we've lost every scrim day. like 0-5, 0-4. The first game we won for September and October of this BLG was on stage. Actually, that was game 2. So it was, and it felt incredible. So I want to be this team. It's so fucking hard to win against, and we're gonna give everything for that. That means try hard at every single level of your life, I think.
Sounds good. Well, we've taken up 2 hours of your time, and this
Easy,
is
man.
where we normally end it. But I had a good time. I thought this was a really interesting episode. It's been different than all of our other episodes because I believe you're our first general manager that we've had on. So we got to talk about a bunch of different things, like the scheduling stuff is fascinating, and just hearing how you were able to put the team together and just the pacing of everything. I think it gives a new perspective. I don't know if this has been shared that much with the public, so I think people are gonna love it. But yeah, thank you for being here, Romain, and we will. I should say Roma like I started, but I've always said Romain in my head when I've read your name. So Roma, thank you for joining us. And
of course,
this has been
very fun to
episode 20 of the Stackdown.
That's a lot.
Thank you guys.
Good job,
See you
guys.
next time.
Of course.
Yeah, have you watched the new Marvel Rivals trailer? I haven't, but I saw that it came out.
You have been sheltered by the light for far too long. The time has come for darkness to reign.
Uh-oh.
Soon, your resolve will begin to crumble.
I'm gonna try and play him.
You'll be stretched too thin.
Good one.
There'll be nowhere left to hide. And your fire will cease to burn. For no light shall survive in my empire of eternal night.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god, they're adding all 4 characters. They're adding all 4 of the Fantastic Four. I don't know, like, I'll probably try to play, Mr. Rock, but, I might try the Fire Guy or Stretchy Boy, or I might try the Hot Girl. I'm not sure. We'll probably play all of them. Yeah, the Thing? Yeah, well, Mr. Rock. Yeah, that is crazy. Like, wow, what a... Man... Is it really that easy? Like, it's got 55,000 upvotes. That's crazy. And so Silver Surfer, yeah, I mean, I feel like the Silver Surfer would play a lot like Spider-Man. That's kind of what I would assume. Yeah, I would say, like, yeah, it'd probably be a little bit like Spider-Man. Maybe, no, you don't think so? I think it would. Maybe he could, he could be a tank by using, like, the board? Like, I don't know. I really have to think about it. But anyway, this is going to be, it's more like Storm, floating and attacking in the sky. Maybe, I don't know. It could be a lot of things. The post about how heroes that are similar, they might just add them both, like have Miles Morales and have it be a separate character. Oh, so, like, would it be kind of like how Falco and Fox are in Melee? Or like Captain Falcon and Ganondorf? Where, like, maybe Miles Morales can do, like, more web attacks, but, like, less melee damage or something like that? That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I wonder if that'd be broken or not. I don't know. Yeah, I really have to see. They should add Galactus. They can't add Galactus. What do you mean? They're not gonna fucking add... What are you gonna add Galactus? What is this? Dracula takes over New York City. Blade, that's right, Dracula's here, you know what that means? If they add Blade and Morbius... Dude, if they add Morbius and they have his fucking ult say it's Morbin time... I feel like this just might be Game of the Year. It really, like, yeah, I think that really could have been it. Blade was leaked already. Yeah, I mean, I think you could easily assume that Blade was going to happen, right? I mean, let's be real. Well, anyway, this trailer was really well received. A lot of people liked it a lot. People were super positive, and yeah, at the end of the day, Marvel Rivals looks like it's doing really well. I'm not really sure why, you know, I mean, who knows? But there's not a character in Marvel Rivals that I really feel like is like my character. Like, I played Punisher a lot, but I'm not sure if that's like my guy. I want to play a tank, but I feel like none of the tanks are like really my character. I've been playing Hawkeye, but that's it. Carnage? Yeah, I'd become a Wolverine one trick. Yeah, I saw that they're buffing Wolverine, which is kind of crazy. I might go do that. I'm not sure, but I feel like everybody's gonna do that. So I'll figure it out. Yeah, you need a big bonker? Maybe. I've been playing Hawkeye. Like, I'm almost out of gold with Hawkeye. I've been playing him for like maybe 2 or 3 days. And so like I'm okay with it. But cause like I'm used to playing with like the kind of like ballistics, right? With like PUBG, because I played that a lot. So like maybe I would do that. But I kind of gold. No, I just haven't put in time. Like, that's the problem. I haven't put in time and effort. Hawkeye's getting nerfed. Well, he should get nerfed. Like, he's too good. Straight up. Like having him be able to one-tap people right out of the fight, especially like Jeff. Nah, it's bullshit. Yeah, Hawkeye one-shots. Yeah, you shouldn't really have that happen. It's busted right now. Yeah, exactly. And it'll be getting nerfed next season. Yeah, for sure. Too much damage and he attacks too fast. Yeah. And the character, oh, look at this. Character's not even out, but people are already making art of her because she's hot and her design is great. Well, most importantly, she's hot. Coincidentally, her design is also decent as well. And so it's good publicity for the game. Marvel Rivals don't have to pay for it. Last One Images is one of the ones I found from Concord. Yeah, she's really hot. Big fucking surprise. And this is amazing. Wow. Oh my god. Come on. Come on. We're really gonna... Oh, man. I can't wait for the mods. I mean, I don't... No, I'm more excited for the cosplays. Look at this. We used to, like, in America, in, like, the 90s and the 2000s, the meme was made in China. But, something, you know, you pick up, you know, like, let me think. I'm trying to think of something shitty I have that's near me. Like, well, you pick up something and it's flimsy and immediately falls apart. And then, like, you know, like, Chris Rock turns over to, you know, like, I don't know, like, Will Smith. And they're like, oh, made in China? Yeah, made in China, right? It's a joke. And now, oh, God. Now it's made in America. Yeah, bro, they pulled the Uno reverse. It's bad, man. It's really bad. And I thought you were unbanned for testing out Marvel Rivals chat censorship. Oh, I might get rebanned for that, to be fair. But I don't know. They became, yeah, they actually, yeah. If I see, this is going to sound really bad. But if I see a video game come out and I see Asian letters, whether it's like Chinese, Korean, or Japanese, I'm like, oh, thank God, it's actually going to be good. Now, it might be pay to win, but it's actually going to be a good game. Thank God. It's like I've become racist against my own people. I don't know what the fuck happened. This is awful.